He again, it's remarkable that there are actually people in the Trump White House who are looking forward to the debates, because this man last night made Admiral Stockdale look like Lincoln at Gettysburg. It's very clear, even 4 years into the job, he doesn't understand the issues. He doesn't know the issues. And 200,000 dead Americans into the coronavirus, he's still stumbling around with no strategy. And he actually, talk about a Freudian slip, he comes out and talks about herd mentality, then gets to herd approved or whatever he said. And I
think we should play this.
Let's play it for 1 second.
This is incredible because it's not that he's stupid. He is, but it's that he doesn't care. That 2 to 3 million people may die when he talks about herd immunity, but doesn't even get the phrase right. This is someone who doesn't care.
Here it is.
It is going to disappear. It's going to disappear. I still say it would go away without the vaccine, George, but it's going to go away a lot faster with it.
It would go away without the vaccine?
Sure, over a period of time. Sure, with time it goes
and many
away.
deaths.
And you'll develop herd, like a herd mentality. It's going to be herd developed, and that's going to happen. That will all happen.
Herd mentality and herd developed. They've just explained, Lemire and me, talking about the Red Sox. But Jonathan Lemire, Donald Trump last night did something quite extraordinary. He admitted out loud that after 200,000 dead Americans, he has now reverted back to where the British started, where Boris Johnson's people started talking about herd immunity, and then immediately were rushed off of that when they figured out how many dead Brits there would be. Donald Trump has stumbled back onto it. And I just want to go back to what Willie Geist said, because you look at Wisconsin and you go into those numbers, and yes, law and order is very important there, but coronavirus is the key issue. And you have some older people in Wisconsin who are very concerned that Donald Trump still doesn't know what he's doing when it comes to this once-in-a-century pandemic. So talk about that and talk about the 10 points, the 10-point lead right now. What's the White House's response to Wisconsin seeming to slip beyond their fingertips, at least for now?
Well, Joe, I think the most important takeaway last night, the overarching theme, is that this president still has no message when it comes to Americans who think he has done a poor job handling the pandemic. And we know in public polling, that's the majority of Americans. The president has no ability to listen to their concerns or suggest that things could have gone differently, or to sort of recognize and identify with their suffering because they've lost a loved one, or they themselves got sick, or they lost a job. There's been none of that. No ability to show empathy, no ability to sort of signify any sort of course correction. The White House has said herd mentality. They've said over and over is not that herd immunity. I did the Freudian slip there too. That herd immunity is not a plan. That's not what they're looking to do. But it was really telling last night that the president seemed to zero in on that. And one of his newest advisors, Scott Atlas, one of the doctors, has talked up that subject as a possibility. Although again, he has later, when pressed, said that's not an actual recommendation. But that is what this. From the beginning, we know, Joe, in the last few months that the Trump campaign feels that any day that they're not talking about the virus is a day that they can win. That's a fight they want to have. The problem is that's what American people want to talk about. They're consumed with the pandemic and how it impacts their day-to-day life. And this strategy is not working. And those Wisconsin numbers are so telling. And I'm glad we're starting here today because you're right. That of the 3 Great Lakes states there that we know, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. The Trump campaign, unless their map looks very different than 2016, the strategy all along is of those 3, they needed 1. And Wisconsin was always seen as the most likely from the beginning, and particularly in recent months, these recent weeks after the violence in Kenosha. They leaned hard into law and order. They thought that was a winning message. And so far, that has not played out that way. The Wisconsinites are certainly, of course, concerned with law and order, but they don't like the president's messaging on it, according to these polls, and they're far more concerned about the pandemic, and they feel that he has let them down. And if Wisconsin slips away, and we already know that Michigan is quite the long shot for this president, then suddenly you're asking for Pennsylvania. And the polls have Pennsylvania closer, but we know that's Joe Biden's state, as we've talked about on the show. That is that's a tough haul for the president to win Pennsylvania. And if he goes 0 for 3 in the Great Lakes, his map becomes extraordinarily difficult.
It's a good point. And again, we're not just talking about one poll in the middle of March. Willie, we're talking about poll after poll after poll since Kenosha that has shown Joe Biden expanding his lead in Wisconsin, which was supposed to be the friendliest state to him, especially in the upper Midwest. Michigan already, many people in the Trump campaign consider that gone quite some time ago. I suspect that'll tighten up too, but still, they're not counting on it. And Pennsylvania, I don't see how they get there from here. I know the polls are tightening, but boy, that would be the last state I'd want to depend on if I were Donald Trump. But Willie, talking about the coronavirus, and we're going to get to this mask
comment,
this mask statement in a minute, but just think about again the message that he is sending. He's pushing to get college football back on the field. Yesterday, we heard from the national champion coach, the coach from the national championship LSU Tigers, saying basically, hey, everybody on my team has coronavirus. Now, sure, it's not everybody on his team, but this is spreading like wildfire through a lot of college campuses and through this football team. It's going to be interesting to see what the truth ends up being about LSU. But people see that. And they see the president getting angry, and his answer on the coronavirus is, let's force young kids to go out and play college football. And again, it's just stupid. It's just like if you're in Oshkosh and you're seeing the president saying this, you're like, okay, I like the Badgers, I like football, but do we really want to have one super spreader event after another?
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.